Welcome to F102. In this lesson, we'll learn how to develop solutions to address capability gaps in the Army. You'll explore how the Army identifies gaps between what it needs and what it currently has, and how we create solutions across different areas like training, equipment, and organization. This lesson highlights the importance of joint and service concepts for linking future and current operating environments. More specifically, we'll examine the Joint Capability Integration Development System, or JCIDS. JCIDS helps identify what the military needs and prioritizes what's missing. We'll also discuss capabilities-based assessments, an integral part of JCIDS, and the .mil-PF framework used to help us consider potential options to address the operational requirements, particularly those prioritized by combatant commanders. We'll also examine how Army Futures Command, the JROC, and the AROC are involved in capability development and validation. The highlighted section within the red oval focuses on JCIDS and the .mil-PFP framework. JCIDS is the Department of Defense's process for identifying, assessing, and prioritizing military capability requirements and solutions to meet current and future operational needs. The process involves capabilities-based assessments, or CBA, to identify gaps and needs across the .mil-PFP domains. That's doctrine, organization, training, materiel, leadership and education, personnel, facilities, and policy. This ensures a comprehensive approach to developing and integrating capabilities that support the Joint Force and combatant commanders' operational requirements. .mil-PFP, a fancy acronym for solving military problems and planning for the future, because who doesn't love a good acronym? It breaks down the essentials: doctrine, the principles we follow; organization, how we're structured; training, well, how we get ready; materiel, it's our cool gear and all the other stuff we need to do the mission; leadership and education, how we grow leaders and competent professionals; personnel, who's doing the job, military and civilian; facilities, where we do what we do; and policy, the rules of the game. The Certain Victory case study from F101 gave some insight into these domains and how change is managed through this model, ensuring we're always ready for the next big thing. This slide serves as a review and builds upon key ideas from F101, focusing on the Army-centric terminology and relationships between vision, concepts, and doctrine. It clarifies that vision informs concepts, which then evolve into doctrine, contrary to the myth that doctrine drives vision and concepts. Vision provides a long-term, that's 15 to 20 years, holistic view. Concepts detail a future state, 5 to 15 years out, and doctrine applies validated principles and practices relevant in the near term. That's 3 to 5 years. The process is not strictly linear, as real-world needs and crises can influence any stage, impacting subsequent development and implementation across the force. This diagram is a snapshot showing how the Army turns joint concepts into land capabilities. It all starts with the Army Operating Concept, or AOC, our crystal ball for future conflicts. The current AOC, the U.S. Army in Multi-Domain Operations 2028, is our playbook for tackling unpredictable future battles. It shows how the Army teams up with other services and international partners to prevent conflicts, win wars, and handle whatever comes our way. The AOC not only paints a picture of how we should operate, but also lists the must-have capabilities. We fine-tune these through experiments, war games, and studies, an ongoing process that helps senior leaders adjust to changes in the operational environment and new or emerging technology. As we polish these concepts, we spot gaps between what we can do now and what we need to do in the future. The means to do all this is found in the Capability-Based Assessment, or CBA, process. The CBA compares our current operational environment with the future operational environment. When we find gaps, we fill them using the .mil-PFP framework. Two key terms to remember: capability, that's what we can do, and capability gap, what we can't do yet. These gaps drive the creation of new capabilities, ensuring we're ready to meet future challenges. The DoD uses 3 systems to make sure the military gets what it needs. Think of it as a well-oiled machine with 3 gears. And our first gear is PPBE, that's planning, programming, budgeting, and execution. This is the calendar-driven gear, which encompasses the steps taken throughout the fiscal year to fund all DoD and Army activities. Each year, PPBE mirrors congressional processes and the development of the President's budget. PPBE turns national defense strategies into financial plans, making sure the budget aligns with long-term goals. This system has evolved significantly since the 1960s, adapting to new challenges like the post-9/11 security environment. We'll look at PPBE again in F105 and mainly in F107. JCIDS is our need-driven gear. It helps us identify and prioritize what the military needs to fill capability gaps. DAS, that's the Defense Acquisition System, and that's our event-driven gear. It focuses on acquiring new technologies and equipment to meet our operational needs. The DAS has seen significant updates since the 2000s, incorporating lessons from rapid technology development during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. These systems work together, ensuring the military stays ready and capable now and in the future. JCIDS is DoD's way of making sure the military has what it needs, with inputs comprising approved concepts and parameters defined by operational commanders. CBA starts with needs analysis to identify required capabilities based on current and future environments. The Army calls this step FAA, or Functional Area Analysis. Then it finds gaps where current capabilities fall short. Senior leaders assess risk and prioritize these capability gaps based on current and future needs. The Army calls this Functional Needs Analysis. Next, we explore solutions, new tech, training changes or updates to doctrine. The Army term for this is FSA, or Functional Solutions Analysis. Collaboration is key, with various stakeholders working together to ensure solutions are effective and aligned with strategic goals. Outputs from CBA generally fall into 2 categories: .mil-PFP change recommendations, or DCRs, or a material development document like the ICD or CDD, both of which we'll examine in F103. In the Army, the CBA process is performed and led by Army Futures Command through FCC Capability Development Integration Directorates, CIDS, or Integrated Capability Development Teams, ICDCs or ICDTs, aligned to cross-functional teams. The JCIDS process is organized into 3 distinct lanes, each designed to address different types of capability needs within specific time frames, ensuring that the military can effectively respond to varying operational demands. Lane 1 is our urgent requirements, the ongoing contingency lane. These are critical quick fixes required for ongoing operations. They're driven by combatant commanders or service component commanders, and are intended to prevent loss of life or mission failure during current operations. These requirements captured within a Joint Urgent Operation Need, or Operational Need, or JUON. These typically involve minimal technological development and are processed swiftly with a staffing timeline of about 15 days. An example of this is the rapid fielding of counter-IED technologies during the Iraq War. Our second lane, emergent requirements, or the anticipated contingency lane. These are for anticipated or pending operations, prepared as a Joint Emergent Operational Need, or JUON. They also aim to prevent loss of life or mission failure, but in situations that are expected to arise soon. These requirements, which involve less development time than deliberate needs, are staffed in approximately 31 days. Lane 3, deliberate requirements. These requirements address long-term needs that require significant technical development and are always ongoing. These requirements are driven by the services or combatant commander or service component commander and are typically staffed within 40 to 103 days. This lane ensures that the military remains prepared for future challenges, allowing for more comprehensive planning and development. All requirements, whether urgent, emergent, or deliberate, are validated by the Joint Requirements Oversight Council, the JROC, which is managed by J8, or the processes within each department or service. For the Army, this is the Army Requirements Oversight Council, or AROC. This structured, flexible process enables the military to respond to both immediate and long-term needs effectively, ensuring that the right capabilities are in place at the right time. In the JCIDS process, solutions to capability gaps can be either material or non-material. Each approach plays a crucial role in ensuring that the military can meet both immediate and long-term needs. Material solutions involve the development and deployment of new equipment or technology. These solutions typically require significant investment in research, development, and production. For instance, during the Iraq War, the rapid development and deployment of mine-resistant ambush-protected, or MRAP, vehicles was a key material solution. These vehicles provided enhanced protection for troops against IEDs, much like equipping a modern knight with a new suit of armor. Material solutions often include system modifications, upgrades, or entirely new system starts, and these are captured in initial capability documents, ICDs, and capability development documents, CDDs. On the other hand, non-material solutions involve changes in doctrine, training, leadership, education, organization, personnel, facilities, or policy. These solutions are often faster and less costly to implement. A notable example could be the changes made during the counterinsurgency strategy in Iraq, which required significant adjustments in training and tactics, essentially updating our rule book to win the game. Non-material solutions can involve updates to doctrine, the development of new training plans, adjustments to organizational structures, and policy changes. The JCIDS process considers both types of solutions during CBA, where recommendations are made for addressing identified capability gaps. These recommendations are then vetted through the AROC and approved by the Secretary of the Army or the Chief of Staff of the Army, ensuring that the chosen solutions are aligned with strategic objectives. Both material and non-material solutions are essential, and the effectiveness of the military depends on the right balance between the two. While material solutions may provide the cutting-edge tools needed on the battlefield, non-material solutions ensure that the Army remains organized, trained, and led in a way that maximizes the effectiveness of those tools. At its core, JCIDS is about ensuring that the military has the capabilities it needs to succeed in current and future missions. This involves a detailed analysis of the operational environment, identifying where the military is currently strong and where there are gaps that need to be filled. Once these gaps are identified, JCIDS facilitates the development of solutions across the .mil PFP domains. Army Futures Command leads capability development with support from TRADOC Centers of Excellence, or COEs, and other proponent requirement developers. Capability Development and Integration Directorates, or CIDS, belong to the AFC Futures and Concepts Center, FCC, which leads capability development within the Army in close coordination with the proponent COEs and the Combined Arms Center. TRADOC used to do all of this and still retains proponency, Force Development Directorates, and the G3 Training, Leadership, and Education and Doctrine functions. In this green circle, we highlight the role of Headquarters DA and the DAG3, as well as the force developers who validate requirements. The purple circle represents DoD and joint oversight in building the land component military capability. The primary staff proponent at the joint level is the J8. The Joint Staff J8 is responsible for JCIDS overall, but the J7 oversees joint concept and joint capability area management. Army capability development is a collaborative effort involving multiple key players across the Army. AFC plays a leading role in determining the requirements for new capabilities. They work with TRADOC and the Combined Arms Center to ensure that these requirements are based on sound doctrine and aligned with the Army's strategic goals. The FCC is responsible for developing the concepts that guide future capability development. Meanwhile, Combat Capabilities Development Command, or CCDC, focuses on the research and development of new technologies that will meet the identified capability gaps. The Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, the ASALT, is another key player overseeing the acquisition process to ensure that new capabilities are delivered on time and within budget. This office works closely with the AFC, with Army Futures Command, and other stakeholders to streamline the acquisition process and ensure that the Army's modernization efforts are aligned with its strategic objectives. The Army's signature modernization efforts represent our top priorities. These are critical initiatives designed to ensure that the force remains prepared and capable in future operational environments. These efforts are primarily managed through cross-functional teams, or CFTs, which are key components of the Army modernization enterprise. The goal of these teams is to drive rapid development and integration of new capabilities that align with the Army's 6 modernization priorities. So each CFT focuses on a specific priority area, ensuring that the Army's modernization efforts are well coordinated and effective. So, for example, the Long Range Precision Fires CFT works on capabilities that enhance the Army's ability to dominate in range, lethality, and target acquisition, such as the Strategic Long Range Cannon and the Precision Strike Missile. The Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office, RCCTO, plays a critical role in accelerating the development and deployment of these modernization efforts, particularly in areas requiring immediate attention, such as hypersonics and directed energy. This slide illustrates the critical roles of TRADOC, the Centers of Excellence, and the Combined Arms Center in developing Army capabilities. TRADOC, supported by its COEs, serves as the primary force behind doctrine development, organizational structuring, training, leader development, education, and personnel management. Each warfighting COE has a CDID dedicated to concept development, experimentation, and requirements determination. These activities directly support the COE's mission and align with the broader goals of Army Futures Command. The Army Force modernization structure includes three key types of proponents: COE proponents, branch proponents, and specified proponents. COE proponents are responsible for force development within their specific domains, such as aviation, intelligence, and protection. These proponents work closely with AFC through TRADOC CAC to manage .mil-PF requirements. They can provide crucial support in capability development by ensuring that branch and specified proponents requirements are integrated into COE efforts. Branch proponents are, well, the commandant or chief of an Army branch acts as the branch proponent, focusing on training, leader development, education, and personal management within their branch. While some branches like aviation and intelligence also serve as COE proponents, others lack full CDID capabilities and need assistance from COEs and AFC to manage their .mil-PFP responsibilities effectively. Specified proponents are designated when functional overlaps exist between COEs and branch proponents. These proponents identify and integrate requirements across the Army, particularly where missions span multiple domains. Although they lack dedicated CDID capabilities, specified proponents rely on supporting relationships with COEs and AFC to fulfill their modernization roles. U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, for example, is the Army specified proponent for space, high altitude, and ground-based mid-course defense. This slide highlights the key difference between roles of capability developers and headquarters DA in the Army's capability development process. Capability developers, which include AFC's Futures and Concepts Center and the COEs, are responsible for generating and determining the Army's requirements. These entities focus on identifying what the Army needs. Their primary role is to ensure that the Army is equipped with capabilities necessary to meet current and future operational demands. On the other hand, Headquarters DA is responsible for validating these requirements. Once the capability developers have identified and documented the requirements, Headquarters DA reviews, approves, and resources them. This validation process ensures that the proposed capabilities are aligned with the Army's overall strategic objectives and that they are feasible within the available resources. Here's another way of thinking about CBA and this process within the Army. The diagram on your screen introduces the key players and organizations involved in CBA. On the right side of the slide, you'll see the patches of major organizations that play critical roles in this process. While the Army focuses on developing solutions across the .mil-PFP framework, there's some emphasis on two key domains: the O for organization and the M for materiel specifically, as these two areas require the most significant resources and are central to driving changes within the Army. The output documents from these domains include TO&Es and BOIPs and are critical building blocks, used to develop these changes. Once an approach is determined, capability developers work alongside integrated capability development teams, ICDTs, and communities of practice within TRADOC, CAC, and COEs. These groups collaborate to develop solutions, focusing particularly on organizational and materiel aspects. Note that the lowercase m in .mil-PFP refers to using existing material to address capability or capacity shortfalls rather than developing entirely new capabilities. This slide also serves as a bridge to the next lesson, F103, where we'll look deeper into how material solutions are implemented and developed through the Defense Acquisition System. Okay, we just went over these takeaways, and this slide summarizes the basics of JCIDS and CBA while highlighting a few of the key players involved. This voiceover is only an overview and not a replacement for further study and review of Joint and Army policy pertaining to capability development. Thank you for your time.